So then we poured the grapes into there. Many of them have broken by now. We probably have free juice within that mass of grapes all the way to the top. If we don't, we'll have somebody jump in there with the brand new clean boots that have never touched the floor, and they'll walk on them slightly in order to liberate enough juice to accomplish that. That way we don't have a lot of air spaces between grapes. An interface between juicy grapes and air is a perfect opportunity for microbes to grow, and many of them that grow there in the first few days may not necessarily be the things we want to have. So I would rather have a little more controlled environment where we just know, where I can see the entire surface or that interface right on the very surface of the fermentation tank. So then those grapes are put into there. If the grapes are warmer than I'd like them to be at this point, then I will put a kind of a slotted screen down inside of that mass. I put a suction hose on a pump, and I pump it through a heat exchanger and recirculate it back upon itself so that I can gradually cool that entire mass. And the reason I want fairly cool grapes is I would like to delay biological activity in the fermenter. And it's not so much a stylistic thing, it's more of just a pure logistical tool. And a lot of people talk about doing cold soaks. There's a lot of different definitions of what a cold soak is and what it does. Personally, I call it a cool soak, and I just want to delay biological activity so I can continue to focus on outdoor things before I get too caught up on indoor things with managing fermentations and pressing and things like that. So it's for me, it's purely just a utilitarian logistical tool. So we've cooled off the grapes, and then I'll take one of my favorite tools. It's CO2 Snow cone. So essentially we take a cylinder that has liquid CO2 inside of it, and this thing's like a fire extinguisher. So it creates a very cold vapor of CO2, as well as about half of that liquid becomes a snow, a very light, fluffy carbon dioxide solid that kind of hovers over the grapes. And what I like about this relative to alternatives to this, which might be formed little pellets, the pellet is very heavy and it sits down with a lot of weight onto the surface of the skins, and it actually freezes those skins that it's in contact with. Those skins burst open and let out everything that's in them. So you're getting full thermal extraction from those berries, or at least those skins that are in contact right away. With the snow, as the carbon dioxide is subliming, the stuff is so light, it's actually hovering and kind of floating over the surface, and it never transfers a sufficient amount of heat away from the grapes to actually freeze them. So it's, I think, a much more gentle way just to get all of the oxygen, or a majority of the oxygen away from the surface of the stuff. And I put a tarp over it so that it kind of holds that carbon dioxide environment there. And what this is doing is, again, delaying biological activity. Yeast will want to grow, other bacteria, particularly undesirable ones may want to grow on that surface. So we're really kind of skewing the environment away from an outcome that we don't want to one that we do want. So we do that for a number of days just to delay the biological activity and give me the chance to go eat grapes in other vineyards, and if need be, drive grapes back into the